We appreciate your company. I know there is some brilliant boxing happening over on BT Sport 1 right now. What were you doing? Just checking yourself, making sure you look good?
Yeah.
He had his phone now, it's just standard. Joining the debate on the show, use the hashtag PLTonight, or you could tweet me, as it's my show, at Jake Humphrey. Right, we've got lots to talk about. We're going to hear from Maurizio Sarri in a couple of moments. We're also hoping that Azpilicueta is going to join us live from the tunnel in a second, so we'll speak to him. But first, let's have a look at the headlines from a busy old day across the Premier League. And that man has scored in August. No wonder the headline is Hallelujah, Harry. Congratulations to him and Tottenham. They were top of the Premier League for a short time until Chelsea picked up victory today. The other headline from today is Hammer Blow. What is going on at West Ham? We will talk about this later on in the programme. Hammers fans, don't just sit there and be silent. You're some of the most knowledgeable and vociferous football fans out there, so get in touch right now with the show. Send your thoughts to the guys, ask the guys your questions, hashtag PLTonight. And finally, of course, Bridge Bonanza. That man got the winner. 3-2 win for Chelsea this evening, so let's hear from the manager. Maurizio Sarri is with Des.
I think what these two managers need to be afforded is time. Two managers come into a new league, new environment, much to do with the squads, changing the way that they're playing, changing the idea of the way that they want to attack and defend. And they've got to find the balance, and I think balance is the key word for both of these two teams.
Chelsea are renowned for that.
For what? Balance?
Giving you time.
They're not, but I think they have to be.
The Premier League's not renowned for it, is it?
There's not too many managers now they can start turning to after what they've been through.
I just think that Chelsea just don't... That's not the type of club that they are.
But he's won the first two anyway. I mean, he's learning all the time.
No, but
the key is he's learning whilst he's winning. And that is what matters.
You also saw their Hazard, and he's a key player, and he's on board now. I don't think they were enjoying Kante's style of management, Conte's style of management. I think what they want now is a bit of a freedom, expression. Balance is quite right. Rio's quite right on that. You need balance. The team that wins this Premier League will have balance. It's not found yet for both of these teams. A lot of work to be done, but it was entertaining, good character. Arsenal created a lot of chances in the game, which is encouraging, showed good character. But the basics are wrong for Arsenal, and there was one or two problems for Chelsea as well.
So when Sarri sits down with his backroom team and goes through today, what are the areas that still need to be better from a Chelsea perspective to get the balance that you're all talking about?
I think Chelsea have gone from being almost a counter-attacking style of play. When under Conte, they sat in, they were solid to break down, and they broke on you, and were very destructive in doing that. When you play that way, you conserve a lot of energy. Sarri's almost kind of flipped it on his head and gone, right, I want almost a high press, and I want us on the front foot, so it's high energy. So it didn't surprise me that towards the end of that first half, the gaps started to appear, because maybe they're not used to playing at that intensity. Which is why those gaps did start to appear. So it's going to be exciting.
But they've had to make the biggest change, haven't they? Because they've gone from a back three to a back four, and it's quite difficult. If you're a centre half, just in our position, do I go out? I can go all the way out as a third centre half.
Yeah, but all those players will have played in back fours over their careers.
Back four players, though.
Yes, but it's switching back again because their message is a different memory. Different picture in possession.
See, look, I haven't played football to a professional level, right?
No, you
obviously. Not that you ever remind me of that. So maybe I'm just being too simplistic, but if I'm paid to be a defender and I've played in a back four 5 or 6 years of my career, a couple of years in a back three, surely it's like riding a bike. You just it's a four now. I know what I'm doing. It's
a different structure though, and David Luiz, by the way, I'm not sure he is a centre half. I'm not sure he's a unique talent where he's very good in possession, doesn't really defend fantastically well, but he's playing central defence at the moment. Okay, you stay in that position in a four. You don't overcommit. In a three, you can get pulled around, but you've got people who can pop back in for you. So you become a five effectively, and that's a big change for Chelsea. And I think they're out of possession. I think they're just coming to terms with where people go where, and that has to be painted out to them by the manager. It's work on the training pitch.
Look, not convinced.
Only because I half agree with what you said, to be honest with you, in terms of
only half.
Well, as a centre half, playing with a three at the back or a four at the back, you should be able to do it. If you've got a brain and you can play the game, then same in midfield. You're playing a three or you're playing a two. You just understand the position, you get used to it. I think that playing in a three at times you're getting let off the hook quite a bit at times. Especially when teams are playing one up front, it's a lot easier than it is playing in a two, don't get me wrong. And maybe that's caught them out a little bit. I just felt like the chances they gave up today were just switching off. Not a lot of it was, I suppose, positionally as bad as Arsenal's was, but it was just switching off at vital moments, which we're just not used to when we see Chelsea play.
I think the thing if we go back to David Luiz's position, his strength is with the ball, and his strength is knowing that he has, when he plays in a 3 at the back, he knows he's got strength in numbers. So when he wants to come out or overcommit, in a 3, he can have people there to cover up their mistakes. When you're in a 2, you don't get that. If you get dragged out too quick or too early, you run out and overcommit.
So are you saying it changes the way he plays the game psychologically?
I think that his mistakes can be covered up a lot easier in a back 3.
It can be lonely in a 2, but I preferred a 2. But I wanted my fullback alongside me, so it's messages to the fullback. Now, Lonzo flying forward, Azpilicueta flying forward, they don't need to do that all of the time because on the counter-attack it leaves them a little bit exposed. It's just little messages, little differences.
The most important thing as well is they've lost right in front of them. Yes, they've gained a ball player, but they've lost the real person who probably did a lot more work than, that we knew he did it, but maybe they didn't realise how much he did.
I think the most telling point, Jay, that we saw today is that both teams need more and more time on the training ground. Yeah. They need to be coached. They need to be coached into a position where they all can close their eyes, and if they're tasked, where's my right back? He's going to be there. Right. Where's my left back going to be when the ball's over there? They need to be able to do that with your eyes closed. You need to do that with instinct and just know where people are because it's been drilled into them time and time again. And I keep talking about Man City and going back to them because they are the best team in the land at the moment. And when you look at their team, if you took the numbers off their back, you would identify that team straight away because they're playing a particular brand of football. But that's come with time. And these two managers need that as well.
So how far behind winning the league is this Chelsea side?
Ages. They're not as good as Liverpool. They're not as good as Manchester City. I wouldn't say they're as good as Manchester United.
You go from game to game, don't you? To say how far are they behind,
But they've got Hazard.
They've got Hazard, world-class player, Willian as well. Morata coming into some form. I think we shouldn't underestimate Chelsea. They've got the players here. They're used to winning things, and they've got a manager who hasn't won anything. To be honest, he's got a point to prove.
The big problem is you've got City. They're just so far away. Yeah. A couple of years ago, you'd kind of gone, they're not that far off. We all watched an Antonio Conte side look pretty average when he very first came into the job, and he spun it on its head and won a league. And they're capable. The players are still there. But the City are just, they are, and Liverpool, by the way, are looking way ahead of everybody else.
I think Chelsea just a little bit guilty of that freedom of expression now. New manager, new philosophy, more freedom, and they just got caught a couple of times with the counter-attack. And they couldn't get back into shape early enough. And I think that's something they can work on. It looked a bigger problem for Arsenal when they were out of possession in that first half. Definitely have been worked too much.
You named 4 teams as better than Chelsea. Are you saying not in the top 4 for them this season?
I think it's going to be hard. I think the manager's going to have to go some to get that. I think they can finish in the top 4, but I think the likes of Hazard has got to be in like ridiculous form throughout the season, and it's how they adjust to this new manager's ideas. I think the way that he had these Napoli team playing, if they can get that here as soon as possible, then they're going to be having a chance of definitely getting in that top 4.
Before we move on to Arsenal, a question that's come in from Ty using the hashtag PL Tonight. Join in the conversation if you want. Does Barkley deserve a spot in Chelsea starting 11? He certainly has tough competition. We spoke beforehand off air actually saying that he needs to deliver today to try and stay in this Chelsea side. Did he do enough?
I don't think he did.
No.
I felt like that first half in particular was built for the 2 attacking midfield players of Chelsea. Arsenal were playing such a high line. And I don't know whether he maybe doesn't... Some midfielders have that desire to score goals and some want to provide goals and play nice passes. I think for him to stay in this side, he needs to go and get, 10 plus goals, this year and then kick on from there. And he never really looked like scoring today. And what was a wide open Arsenal side, I mean, he did OK in the first game, plus goals, this year and then kick on from there. And he never really looked like scoring today. And what was a wide open Arsenal side, I mean, he did OK in the first game. There's a reason why he started. He's obviously had a very good pre-season, which is a good sign. I personally don't think he did enough today to
I'd like to see him do more.
Another
I'd
start.
definitely like to see him do more. That change of pace into the box. And when Williams coming deep, dragging Bellerin, he can make that run in behind him. And I think he needed to do it a little bit more, with more purpose. We saw him come onto his right foot there, force a very good save from the keeper. But more of that needs to come if he's going to hang on to this place. You've got no time to lose in this Chelsea team. You get that chance, you've got to take it with both hands.
I think he's been a player we've always talked about as having huge potential when he's got that. All the attributes you'd want from an attacking midfield player. Decision making in the final third, I think, has got to improve, but also he's got to say to himself going into this team, I'm an attacking midfielder. I'm going to get into the box 3 or 4 times a half. I'm going to get maybe 1 or 2 opportunities, and I'm going to hit the target once. It's got to be a game of averages. He's got to do that. He's got to demand that for himself, because I think sometimes he comes off the pitch. He's kept the ball. He's done some nice things here and there. But have you affected the game? That's what he's got to say to himself. How do I affect football matches? Assists and goals. That's what he needs to bring to his game, because everything else he's got in his game in terms of a package of passing, keeping the ball moving here and there.
You get frustrated, don't you, watching a player like that that you know has got everything in their game?
Yeah, because I think you look at that game like JJ said, he was bang on at the beginning there, is that there was gaps in between that back four to run into for an attacking midfielder. And that's when you, as a midfielder, a young player or any player, you go to the fullback, you go to different players you know are going to get on the ball, can make them passes, Jorginho. When you get on it, look for me.
Yeah.
Look for me. And that's what you got to demand of players. Shut him. If that ball ain't coming, you go and tell him, I've just told you to look for me when you get the ball and you've turned away twice. What are you doing? Get me in. I'm going to score today. I'm running.
What you're talking about there, though, is not ability on the ball. What you're talking about is attitude, mindset, approach.
And that's what I think. He has to be more dominant, more aggressive, I think, with other players in the team. Get me the ball.
This is his first experience of joining a big football club, really. I mean, Everton, obviously a huge football club, but...
no. Martin's not having that. Martin's like, what are you
We're talking about Chelsea, you know, against Everton right now, and Chelsea, obviously, European Cups and so on. Right now, it's a different level, playing with different players. And Rio is talking about having character within that environment, and he hasn't really shown us yet. But you know, hopefully, Sarri will give him the confidence that he needs to do exactly what Rio was just talking about.
OK, Finn's got in touch and said at times Chelsea look so deadly on the attack but need defensive improvements fast if they want to challenge for the title. Arsenal fans, drop us a note right now, joining the conversation, #PL tonight, because we're going to talk about your team now, starting with this.
Well, that was incredibly disappointing. I mean, after getting back 2-2, clawing it back in that first half, I thought we were going to go on and do some good stuff. We brought Xhaka off. I thought it was a really good move by Emery, but then I just think Chelsea's ascendancy was too much for us, and it's just going to be the pattern, I think, when we play the big teams this season, and I think top four is going to be quite difficult for Arsenal.
You've got to just believe in what Unai Emery is doing, but the question is, what is he doing? What do you see when you look at that Arsenal team out there? What's the grand plan here?
Well, I mean, listen, how many games did Arsene Wenger manage? Was it 1,225 games? And it's a philosophy that he can't change overnight.
Did you just guess that number, did you know?
I exactly knew that game because I do my research before but, you know, you've got to look at last year. What they had last year, they played 4 away. They won 4 away from home. They drew 4 away from home and they lost 11 of the 19 away.
Did you guess those or did you know those?
You know I know them.
Stop.
So you've got all of these. That is a problem within the team that you cannot change overnight.
Yeah.
And they very nearly hung on and got a draw here. Instantly got a draw here last season. And Chelsea was a team that they had good results against. There's a lot of work to be done, and it's really, you look at it and you think, well, OK, if you were taking over the team as manager, you'd look at it and you say, well, there's been a succession of very young midfield players that have been bought over the years. There's another one been bought now. Why wasn't a senior player brought to come into that position? Why wasn't the money spent in there? Socrates, how good a player is he? What message are they giving on the training ground for the back four? Didn't look like there was an awful lot defensively. I can see them trying to play out from the back. And it's really in the wide positions where City beat them last week. So it's from one game to the next, what's the manager choosing to work on? He's got so much to work on. He's got to pick out just a couple of things and put them right for next week. They can beat West Ham, of course, but I find it disappointing. But I think it's a real reality check to what we're seeing.
I think going forward, there's positives to take from this game today for Arsenal. They created the best chances in the first half. They had some. Aubameyang should have had 2 goals. But I think going forward is there's positives. But it's just the defensive side of the game. I think there's so much to do.
Is it time now to take Ozil out the team? Is it time to maybe play Mkhitaryan?
What do you think? Answer the question. Is it time to take him out?
I don't know. But I'm looking at it thinking, well, at the start of the game, the midfield that Chelsea had, Arsenal couldn't compete. So play a 3. Play like Man City do. That's what Chelsea were doing in the first half. Maybe those 2 creative players, Ozil and Mkhitaryan, come centrally and someone plays deeper and then the width is created by someone else. Maybe Iwobi, who thought did very well today. Change the system. I don't think that they don't look right with 2 in there. Xhaka was running after players, couldn't get to tackles, eventually gets booked, has to take him off. He needs to look radically at the system and see if Arsenal are actually been given the best opportunity. Is it the best platform?
This is a manager that needs time. No, this is definitely a manager that needs time. I mean, because they need, I personally feel like, I won't say a complete overhaul of the squad, but I think they need a huge injection of pace and power within that team. I feel like there's too too many flair players, a bit too lightweight in certain areas. There's not that much. They haven't got enough. For me in that department, so I just feel like he needs time. The Arsenal fans need to give him time, and he also needs a couple of windows to get the players he wants to play the way he wants.
But I thought that Mkhitaryan, when he came centrally, he scored the goal. He looked really effective. He doesn't look effective out on the wing.
He provided the goal for Iwobi from the wing.
Yes, but I know he did. But in the main, I want to like to see him in a more central role. If he was playing for Man City, he wouldn't be playing right wing.
He's just
He'd
not
be playing in the middle.
He's just not effective defensively. He can play from the wide areas.
I'm not sure we can rely upon him to get into create a structure, create a shield. Often it's just about getting back into position and being there. He doesn't want to do that necessarily. It's not a talent that he really has.
I just think that this team, this Arsenal team, it's the same. We've always said the same thing for the last probably 10 years about this team. And the problem with this team right now is that he hasn't got enough players that can do both sides of the game. He's got players that can do fantastic things with the ball but can't or don't want to defend. That's what he's got to change, the mindset. He's got players, look at the players that we've seen in other teams that managers have gone and you thought, I didn't think that he could run like that. I didn't think that he would defend like that. I didn't think that he was able to do that. But managers get it out of players. And that's what this manager's job is now to do. Either he's got to have a complete overhaul and change and have a merry-go-round of players coming in and out, or he's got to get the players that he's got here and say to them, you're going to do what I demand. And what he said in the paper, I thought the other day was quite telling, in that he picked out Ozil and said, you've got to do both sides of the game. And that's the demands, I think, that he's going to be stressing on all of these players, and that's what he needs to get out of them.
But he gave Ozil the reins today. He's been calling out to play centrally, and he did.
And then he hooked him.
Well, he was on the pitch long enough to do something more effective than perhaps he did. So is he playing him now in the right position? I feel the formation needs to change because there's a habit of behaviour with these players, and they've been asked to. They're still playing like they did for the former manager, and he can't get that message across. So
it's quick. It's still early.
It's still early, but Emery's come here with all sorts of Europa League. He won 3 years on the bounce. He won 3 trophies last year. This is a good manager.
Yeah, but he still needs time. He's not a magician.
Of course.
These players have got a mindset that they've had for many years within this squad that I feel has been a bit of a shaky mindset, not strong mentality, no leaders within this team. I don't.
But they had character today, though. You can't. They came back.
Yeah, but that's not been shown throughout a season. They need that.
I could sit and listen to this all evening. Let's go live down to the tunnel. I'm pleased to say that the Chelsea captain says that Azpilicueta. Appreciate it. Thank you. So minimum, top 4 minimum.
Yeah. Chelsea are a big club. They've been doing fantastic things in terms of winning titles, the Champions League in recent years. So this is a team of players who know how to win, and I would say definitely from the top, that would be the minimum ask.
Interesting. Right, plenty more still to come. We've got loads happening. We're live here until 9 o'clock tonight on this evening's Premier League Tonight. Stay exactly where you are.